Hello and welcome to this episode of Content Marketing Commute in Paris. Yes, that's Notre Dame. And here today we're going to be talking about product marketing and sort of how it links in with content marketing, because this is a content marketing podcast. And to do that, we have Lynn Heineman from Dataiku.
Hi.
How are you, Lynn?
I'm good. How are you?
Great. It's awesome to have you here with us. Let's
Great
get
to be
walking.
Here. Let's do it.
Along the Seine.
Let's do it.
Beautiful.
Ready.
Brilliant. Well, Lynn, fantastic to have you on the episode. Tell us a little bit about yourself and the work you do at Dataiku.
Yeah, so at Dataiku, I work with the product marketing and content marketing teams.
Amazing.
So I have both of them, which is I think we'll talk about,
That's
a really
what we're
nice,
talking about.
really nice mix.
Yeah, fantastic. And Dataiku, for those who don't know, essentially, you guys have been doing AI before everyone started thinking it was so cool.
We've been doing AI since before AI was even a thing. Well, I mean, it's been a thing for a long time, but before it was the cool thing to be doing.
Yeah.
Back when it was, the cool kids were calling it data science.
Yeah.
And I've been there for about 7-8 years now.
Amazing. Okay.
Yeah.
And what's the sort of offering at Dataiku? Like, what specifically do you offer?
So what's unique about Dataiku is that we offer one product. So we offer one product that helps companies go from ingesting data all the way to putting AI systems into production.
Okay.
So that's what makes the content marketing and the product marketing very challenging, but also very fun.
Yeah, okay, cool. I was going to say, first thing that came to my mind was like, I love having one product versus these companies that have like 10 different offshoots and you have to try and figure out how you're going to market each one on the different segments or whatever. But
totally.
Do you find that?
Well, yes, but I think the challenge with having one product and I should mention that one of our unique differentiators is that many people can use it.
Okay.
And so the challenge there is you have so many audiences.
Yeah.
You are trying to talk to IT people, you're trying to talk to data scientists, you're trying to talk to data analysts, you're trying to talk to team managers and chief data officers, and that's a lot of very different people with very different challenges.
Yeah, sure. That makes a lot of sense. I'm just going to switch hands here. Oh.
By the way, should I be looking at
or
does it matter?
It doesn't matter.
Kind of a little of both.
Yeah, do a little of both.
Okay.
It's totally cool.
His cobblestones are deadly.
His cobblestones, yeah.
His cobblestones.
And Lynn, I have to warn you, I have a tendency to walk a bit fast. I've been told by you. Yes.
So we walk fast.
But I'm saying, if it's too fast for you.
No. I'm a fast walker.
You're a fast walker too.
I usually have to tone myself back. People are like, hey, wait, we can walk as fast as you as you want.
I've had guests who at the end were like, I'm seriously puffed because I'm trying to explain all this stuff and you're making me walk so fast. But
I think the only factor here is these cobblestones that have 3 inches of space between them. So we'll see.
Totally. Cool. Well, I've been following Dataiku for a long time. I think it's such a cool company and kind of been doing this thing that's just all of a sudden become super cool for a long time.
Totally.
And a big success story in the Paris kind of French startup ecosystem, right?
It's a very cool place to be.
Awesome. Yes. So, I also wanted just to address, you don't sound French. Where are you from?
I am not French. I moved to France for Dataiku about 7.5 years ago, but I am American. I grew up in Chicago.
Okay, nice. Yeah. Very cool. Basically the only thing I know about Chicago is the big bean.
The bean.
That's shiny.
It's a thing.
It looks awesome.
But everyone it's sort of like the Eiffel Tower. Everyone hated it when it first came on the scene. Everyone was like, that thing's horrible.
Yeah. That's really
Eiffel
fun.
Tower was like that too.
Yeah, I heard that too. Yeah, Parisians thought it was really ugly.
An eyesore. Yeah.
That's funny how it becomes iconic.
Kindred.
Yeah.
Monument hatred spirit.
Very funny. So let's get into this.
Do it.
Lynn, product marketing. I was really interested to get into this topic and seeing your profile, the fact that you're leading both at Dataiku is really cool. So, first of all, I'm just going to open this up then. What do product marketers actually do?
So,
because as a content marketer, I'm kind of like, I kind of see what you're doing, but I don't really understand it fully.
Yeah, it's a great place to start. So, first of all, I will say that I think can be different at different places.
Yeah. That's always been my sense too. In some companies I've been in, it sits in product, others in marketing.
Yeah, so ours obviously sits in marketing, but I think no matter where it sits with companies, no matter kind of what they do day to day, the common theme is that product marketers, they are the interface between the product team, usually product managers, and the marketing team, and the market, the go-to market.
Okay. Yeah, basically when you break it down, it's you're marketing the products as a product marketer. It's not as complicated as I made out.
No, yeah, you got it down pat.
Yes. And so like day to day, you're kind of like working closely with the product managers.
Yeah.
Whose role is more technical in a way.
It's technical, but it's also what are we bringing to market?
Yeah.
Does it make sense? And so the product marketer's role is also to kind of be that in between of, hey, what's the go-to-market strategy for this product going to be? Is that the kind of product or the kind of feature that we really need? So it's kind of a two-way street. They help, once products are released, they help bring those to the go-to-market team and tell them how to sell them. Yeah. But also they take insights from go-to-market and bring those back to the product team. So they're working day-to-day with product managers. They're also working day-to-day with people like, well, obviously other marketers, but also sales enablement. They're really working with a lot of teams to do a lot of different things.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, and I've got this sense this will be a question. Do you feel like it's become more of a central aspect to a lot of marketing teams over the years? Like, I get the sense that I've been in companies where that's almost like the core of the marketing team.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely, at least at Dataiku, I would say product and content marketing are kind of the core of our marketing. Cool. We're a global function, and the rest of our team is sort of organized into these geo groups that focus a lot on local marketing and events. But the backbone of kind of that strategy and what we're putting out there and the messaging and what are we talking about is content and product marketing.
Yeah, really cool. Okay, cool. And so, if we just break it down a bit further, like, I understand, they're sitting between marketing and the biz and, the products. But what's the literal KPIs or outcomes that they're trying to drive product marketers?
Yeah, so if we think of content marketing as we're trying to bring people based on their challenges into the funnel. Yeah. I would say that product marketing is trying to bring people from top, middle of funnel down to the bottom of the funnel. So they're trying to get people who have come in because they've downloaded a white paper, for example. Yeah. They're trying to get those people to actually understand what does our product do, hopefully get interested in specific features, and hopefully buy the product. Yeah,
cool. Yeah, that's really cool to hear you say it, because that's kind of how I understood it. So validation for me is that if you look at the funnel, as a content marketer, you're in the top and maybe a bit in the middle, and then you got that overlap where product marketing is middle, bottom.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that collaboration maybe, because that's a cool picture to have in mind with how you should be working together, right?
Totally.
Love that. Okay. One thought I had, Lynn, was you mentioned a little bit before, how much of a product marketer's role is kind of like being able to set the GTM and kind of bring that sense of the market to the product?
Again, I think it really depends on the company, but I hope that it's quite a large percentage of the role, because I think that's a lot of the value that they can bring. Yeah. If they're sort of always going one way, which is product to GTM, I think they're missing part of the picture. And so I think it can happen that you just get so bogged down with, especially if your product team does a lot of product releases. Right. You can get very bogged down in all of the time. It's one way. Yeah. And so I think that bringing that other way is a super important way that team brings value.
Yeah, really cool. I bet it's kind of like, in my mind, it would take a bit of trying to get out of the day-to-day rush of here's a new feature. Yep. And trying to take a step back and see the whole vision, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And usually that's part of the product team's role as well. So a lot of times my team will work with the product managers and, like I said, sit with them. They will do customer calls with them. My team sometimes goes to events, which also helps you kind of get out in the field. Some of them were previously go-to-market people themselves. So I think it's a super important part of the role.
Yeah, really cool. Okay. So we've just taken some elevation off the scene here, Lynn, and we're finishing off your commute to work.
Yeah, hopefully not too much noise.
Yeah, well, the whole idea is, we're in the hustle and bustle, Lynn.
We're in the bustle.
We're in
it.
And hustle.
Morning commute in sunny Paris.
Oh my goodness. No, but Paris is lovely. You should come. Just not during the Olympics, right?
Just make sure you bring your raincoat.
Yeah.
Yeah, not during the Olympics.
Not during the Olympics. Are you one of these sort of Parisians who's going to be escaping during the Olympics?
Interestingly, no. I figure it's a once-in-a-lifetime experience. I'm gonna attend. I'll be attending
good stuff.
The most obscure events.
Yeah. The ones you can get tickets for.
The Modern Pentathlon, which I learned is
That is awesome.
archery, horse riding, running,
Wow.
swimming, and I think fencing.
Oh my goodness, that's
So
awesome.
who knew?
This is quite a nice little
Yeah, we
walking
should go
area.
back down here.
That is so cool. I'm so jealous that you actually managed to get tickets.
Yeah, we just feel like, listen, if there's tickets that are less than $30, low pressure, like, let's
Wow.
go. So,
Awesome.
golf, all kinds of interesting events.
Wow, that's really cool. Good on you, because most Parisians I've spoken to are like, I'm getting out of here.
They're getting out
Yeah.
fast.
I went to get some tickets, and I had it in my basket because it's like a lottery system. You
Yeah.
get through this waiting room. This is a bit of an aside, we're just having
Bring
a
the
chat
important
as
one.
well. Yeah. And I got some tickets in my cart to like wrestling. And
That's a big one.
And then I just stood back and I thought, do I want to spend 300 euros to watch wrestling? Would I ever watch wrestling?
It was a lot. My tickets were not 300 euros.
No.
I'm just going for the $20, $30 ticket.
Wow, that's awesome.
That's the way to go.
Modern pentathlon, that's so sick. Very cool. Okay, so then we might be about halfway through your commute here, or maybe a little bit more.
I see our
So
building right over there.
you see the building already. Wow. We can just give you a quick shot of that.
Well, and it's still
Over
industrial.
here somewhere. Look, we're giving people the real vision of Paris. It's not all Eiffel Tower. There's sometimes industrial stuff.
Sometimes cranes.
Yeah,
And,
and diggers.
always
Oh.
construction.
So that's given us a cool vision, Lynn, on what product marketing is, what you're trying to do there. Really cool to get that view. Now, in terms of you leading product marketing and content marketing, what do you feel like it brings to Dataiku, and like what's the advantage of that, being able to bring the two together?
Well, yeah, like I said, because I see the teams as two kind of sides of the same coin. They're
Yeah.
they're really working that funnel together.
Cool.
And so it allows us to have a really unified plan of how we're going to do that, up from the brand campaigns, which my team is responsible for, all the way down to like demand capture, and then you can see like in the middle of that campaign plan where it sort of shifts.
Yeah.
So, okay, these are owned by content marketing, and then these ones are owned by product marketing. So
Super cool.
it allows us to kind of have this really unified view of here's what we're trying to do,
Yeah.
and here's who's doing it. Of course, if you don't have product and content marketing in the same place, I think that
Yeah.
can be accomplished with a really tight relationship with product marketing.
Yeah.
So it's not required, but it does allow
Yeah.
us to kind of bring an extra tightness to that.
For sure.
view.
I love that because I've never experienced that in companies I've worked in, and I've always struggled with a sense of, product marketing obviously needs to be super close to the product, but then if we're off in our corner as content marketers and we're not even, for example, tied nicely to product launches or specific things that are happening in the roadmap or whatever,
Totally.
like you're really missing something and you're kind of telling two stories.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And you know what else helps us to do is like, my team is always reviewing each other's content. And so
Cool.
from when the content marketing team will write something, the product marketing team's always reviewing with an eye for product. And then when the
Nice.
product marketing team writes something, the content marketing team's always reviewing for an eye for, of course,
Yeah.
style and all of that, but also like, does this address, are we taking a step back enough? Because even with product marketing, I think the risk is like people think it's, every single thing should just be features. But
Yeah.
even when you're trying to sell features to someone who doesn't know your product, they don't know as much as the product marketer, so you still need to
Yeah.
have that step back. You know what I mean?
Totally. I totally agreed. And it's cool to hear you say that because I think still a lot of people, maybe the reason people think, really value product marketing so much who aren't marketers is the sense of, obviously we seem to be marketing our products.
Right.
And like everyone should love our products because it's
Right.
awesome.
But like, I have news for you. People do not wake up in the morning wanting
Yeah.
to buy your product.
Yeah.
Like that is just, unless you,
Yeah.
I don't know, you are a marketer at like
Yeah. Apple or something. Yeah.
Apple. Sure.
Yeah.
Yes. Apple's even, but in B2B marketing,
In
I will
B2B
say,
marketing,
people do
yeah.
not wake up in the morning wanting to buy your product.
Yeah, for sure. I totally agree. And they're probably thinking about your brand a lot less than you want them to be. Or, they're thinking about their own problems.
They're thinking about their own problems. And that's
Yeah.
why content marketing is so important, because content marketing brings the problems.
Yeah.
Like that's what content marketing is about, is talking about people's challenges and,
Yeah.
and offering them solutions, which is of course your product, but you have to start with the challenges. Otherwise, no one is going to
Yeah.
look at your sell sheet just because they woke up
Totally.
one day and were like, oh, I did it.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I don't know if you agree, but I find the longer you're in a company, the easier it is to start drinking the Kool-Aid and thinking, man, we're doing something pretty cool. And like you start to have this blurred vision of maybe people do care and think about us all the time.
But it also gets, it even gets more tricky than that because, I mean, for a company like Dataiku, of course, we have grown in brand recognition. So we're drinking the Kool-Aid, but also it's sort of true that people do know us a little bit more, but not that much still.
Sure.
We're not Apple. I wish we were, but
one day.
One day.
Cool. So, and sort of practically, can we get into even like the rhythms of, meetings or working together? How does your product marketers work with your content marketers?
Yeah, I mean, even before, because there was a time when our teams were not combined, and so even before they were, we were meeting, strategically at the highest level to compare our plans and make sure our campaigns were aligned. But also our teams have always been very close. They've always reviewed each other's work. They've always kind of peer reviewed each other's work. We meet once a week as a product marketing team to get a little bit more into the nitty gritty of that. And my content marketing team also meets once a week, and then we meet once a week as a product marketing and content marketing team where we can sort of figure out things that cross over, like what's going on the blog this week, because sometimes it's product marketing, sometimes it's content marketing. Who are we emailing and what are we emailing them, stuff like that, where we can kind of decide as a group. So we're even before we were combined, we were always close.
Yeah, really cool. And do you have kind of one plan or one strategy that combines the two?
We do. Yes.
Cool.
Yeah, we have one product marketing and content marketing plan that combines the two in the ways that we talked about before, where we're covering the top, the middle, and the bottom of the funnel. And that really works for us.
Yeah, really cool. Love that. And from the outside, you can tell, I feel like you can really tell if a company has this disjointed story between how they're trying to get you in the top of funnel with these big themes and big kind of like future of work things if you're in HR or whatever.
Yeah.
And then kind of talking about their product that doesn't really, that isn't actually particularly innovative and isn't really shaping the future of work. Yeah, it's like bait and switch, totally. And I imagine this kind of allows you to actually tie that together, which is in a more seamless way. Yeah.
Super valuable, I think.
Yeah, really cool. Okay. Now, Lynn, obviously this is a content marketing, not a product marketing podcast, a content marketing podcast. But if there are content marketers out there who are kind of like thinking, hey, I might like to get into product marketing.
Yeah.
What would your sort of tips be to them, and how could even the skill sets, like what should they start to think about trying to develop?
Yeah, I mean, of course, the first skill set is like use your company's product, for some people, maybe that's not quite possible, but as much as you can find ways to use the product, because that will allow you to feel more comfortable in actually writing about it. And then I would say start, if you can, taking on work that allows you to move further down that funnel. Like maybe instead of taking something that's very, like something that's SEO and doesn't mention your product, try to start taking projects where it's like you have to toe that line a little bit and reach out to your product marketing team and ask them if they need help reviewing their content. Like, hey, do you need a second pair of eyes? I'd love to help. I think that's a great way to start, is just sort of start making that connection and start taking on that work that is sort of more middle of funnel, so we can start dipping your toes into how you want to write about the product.
Yeah, really cool. And I think you'd hit the nail on the head there. Like, as content marketers, you don't necessarily get to know how to use the product. Like you might understand from a high level how it works. And I think in some ways, it's a little bit of an advantage as well in some ways, like not getting too deep into it, because you can keep this kind of higher level thinking, right?
Exactly. And that's exactly why we peer review each other's work, because someone who isn't that deep can have that step back and say, hey, if I didn't know our product, I wouldn't know what that meant. Or I wouldn't know what you're talking about here. And can really provide that extra clarity of somebody who doesn't necessarily isn't in the product every single day.
Sure. And it's really interesting. So I got to admit, like in most of the companies I've worked in, I haven't got to know the product as well as I probably could have. But I've almost made that decision personally to be like, I don't know if I need to, like, as a content marketer, get so deep in it. Cool. But if you are thinking of becoming a product marketer and you want to move in that direction, you need to start doing that.
And listen, I don't think all content marketers need to become product marketers either. Like some people are like, that's the only way I'll ever, develop my career.
Right.
That isn't necessarily true.
Yeah, that's cool. That's not necessarily the pathway, but what are the different pathways that you think for your teams?
Yeah, so I think there's, as teams get bigger, or if you're in maybe a bigger company that might have like a much more robust product or content marketing system. I think there's like different specialties. So some people on my team, for example, are are much stronger in short form writing. They're really great at writing like a really snappy subject line for an email, but they're maybe less strong in like writing an entire white paper. And so that's fine. And so we try to kind of make sure that people are working on what they're good at. And if they want to do that stretch work of something that they're not good at, of course, support them in doing that. But I don't think everyone has to be good at everything. And on the product marketing side, it's similar. Some people are actually a lot more technical than others. You know, some people come from being a sales engineers. So they're like really in the product. Some of them come from are more classic product marketers, and they've been product marketers for a while, and so they're not quite as like in the weeds in the product. So I think that also naturally leads to specialties. Like some people are really great at creating on-demand demos for our website, and others are better at taking that step back positioning with product marketing. And so I think there's lots of different areas, and for now we're one team, but imagine if we got bigger, we could sort of imagine like getting more specialty and people kind of stepping up and leading in these areas. And so that's where I see the balance for my team.
Really cool. Okay, cool. That's a cool thing to discuss a bit more as well. Is like, what is the perfect profile and sort of perfect skill set for a content marketer and a product marketer?
That's a good question.
Or is there even one?
I don't know. I think it depends a lot on your product, for one thing. I hate the it depends answer, because I know it's such a cop-out.
It's always the right answer.
It is always the right answer. That's why I always give it. No, I'm just kidding. I do think that for content marketing, what we look for is somebody who, like our style, it also really depends on the style of your company's writing. Like we want to be very informative and clear, and we don't really want to be like overly wordy or verbose. And so we look for people with a lot of journalism backgrounds who have like put the lead up front, that kind of a mindset. And that works really well for us. But in other companies, maybe something very creative writing-ish is a much more valued and valuable skill set.
Yeah, and so that's on the content marketing side.
Yeah,
and then on the product marketing side, what do you think?
On the product marketing side, I would say it depends. I think it depends on the products, but I think a kind of good mix between ability to get your hands kind of into the weeds on the product, but also take that step back. So kind of having the ability to do both is like the skill set. But I think also writing. Like writing is super important for product marketers as well. I mean, you're producing things like sell sheets and one pagers, and there you even need to be more concise because you only have one page. And so
for sure,
I think writing is obviously important for both.
Yeah, it's such a core marketing skill.
It is.
Every marketer needs to, even if you're not a writer, kind of need to be able to explain or express something in written form well.
Totally. And I've actually led writing courses at Dataiku because honestly, it's a core skill for for anybody. If you're working in the product, if we need to write com docs, like we have to read those as a team a lot. And if they're poorly written, it makes it a lot harder for us to understand what the feature is doing, right? So I've definitely led writing classes that are open to everybody at Dataiku.
Cool.
Where we kind of go through some, what we think of as content marketers as like really basic. But you have to think like a lot of the companies, engineers, they've literally never taken a writing class ever in their lives. And so
well, things you think are obvious are not obvious to each of them.
Yeah. So if you're looking to make an impact, a bigger impact in your company, like start a writing class. I think people would love it, and they will take it.
Really cool. Love that. Yeah. Now, Lynn, I've just thought of this question, and I'm sorry to ask it, but I asked a lot of people, and it really kind of struck me when you talk about writing, because everyone's using generative AI to write stuff these days, right?
Kills me.
He kills you. What's your thoughts on that, and like, how are you guys using? I mean, everyone's sort of using Gen AI in some way these days.
Yeah.
How are you guys using that?
Listen, I say it kills me because I think there's unproductive ways to use it, and I think there are really productive ways to use it, and my team does very much take advantage of it in lots of ways. I think it's great
to write emails that start with in a world where
it's like, it's just for me, it's just, it ends up being so formulaic that we're going to sound like everybody else in the space.
For sure.
So it's not differentiating. But if you're facing a blank page and you need to start a blog post and you got to turn it in tomorrow, it gets the gears flowing.
Totally.
We've also found that it works well for stuff like, hey, write me a few snappy subject lines possibly for this email, and like that. Sometimes a couple of them are good, or we can change them a little bit. So I think for shorter stuff, it doesn't do well with long form, at least not now. Bits and pieces, or rephrase this, or help me with that. We use it more as part of our thinking process than actually as something that produces full-fledged content.
Really cool. I totally agree with that. It's like, I think when it first became all the craze, people were like, I can write 12 blog posts in 8 minutes.
Yeah, but like, why?
Yeah, exactly.
If everyone else has the same 12 blog posts, why?
Exactly, yeah.
So
I guess it's just this thought of like volume and just being able to just like have your stuff everywhere and just like throw it out there, but it's totally not the way. And I think quality is going to become even more important, right?
Agreed. And yeah, listen, maybe if you're like just getting started and you're just getting started with content marketing and you do need some volume because you're having trouble finding people to write things,
right?
Sure, maybe it's a little bit helpful in that sense, but pumping out 60 blog posts a week, like who needs that?
Totally.
It is too many.
It is. Do you have a sense of, you mentioned there, it can't do this today. Do you have a sense of how it might change our roles in the future? It's only going to become smarter. And
it's only going to become smarter.
I've been thinking lately of like, it is going to one day be able to do a lot of things that we do. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's for sure true, but I don't think it will ever replace the need to have a human who's thinking of, hey, is that a great idea or is that a really crappy campaign idea?
Yeah.
And you just always need that. Like you're always going to need the human.
Yeah.
So
totally. Yeah, I do feel like we should, my wife actually, she's a really lovely person. She says thank you and stuff to ChatGPT.
I don't. I'm like, what does that say about me? I'm always like, do this for me.
Yeah, exactly.
No, thank you.
She says, look, when it inevitably rises up, at least she'll have been nice to her.
She's a smart woman.
And they'll remember her.
She's smart.
Yeah. And me and you who are like, do this.
I'm like, efficiency.
It'll come to us first.
For sure.
Yeah.
These content marketers. We do all the dirty work.
Well, we're getting really close.
That's it. We're at Gare de Lyon.
Yeah, we're around Gare de Lyon now. And it's busy commuting to work.
This is a risky crosswalk.
Oh my goodness.
Almost gotten hit many times.
Yeah.
So you gotta watch out.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Do you have any final thoughts, Lynn? I think I've run out of questions.
I don't. I guess just content marketing is like such a great place to be. So I don't know if your listeners are more like getting started or mid-career or more advanced, but like it's yes, AI is a player. It's going to change.
Yeah.
But I think we'll always need people and smart minds doing this, and I'm excited to see where it goes.
Yeah, cool. And I've really taken away the thought that it's really cool learning about product marketing and understanding how you can work with them as a content marketer, but you don't need to, you don't need to progress into that. Well, you can if you want, but you don't necessarily, that's not the only pathway. In some companies, I feel like content marketing can be seen as this kind of fluffy thing on the side, but it's actually, the way you've described it, owning that top part of the funnel.
Yeah.
And then working with product marketing, it's really crucial.
Yeah, it's definitely not fluffy. Yeah. It's absolutely required. And if companies are only doing product marketing, I think they're making a mistake.
Yeah, love it. Okay. Well, Lynn, we're almost at your office. Have a great day at work. Thank you for letting me join you on your commute.
Thank you.
And thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you on the next episode. Bye-bye.